What up, and welcome, everybody. Happy NBA Finals week, and welcome to the association presented by Caesars Sportsbook. I'm riding shotgun with Tristan Thompson, Darren Collison, Stephen Elson here. Over the next couple hours, we're going to get you ready for Game 1 of the 2026 NBA Finals. But before that, fellas, we just came off one heck of a weekend.
Yes.
Not for the league, but especially for the folks in San Antonio. Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs, winning Game 7 against the reigning champions in the Oklahoma City Thunder. And all year, the conversation around San Antonio was, they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
They're maybe a year or two away. Nuh-uh. They're here right now. But initial impressions, T, watching Game 7.
The Spurs have something special brewing for many years to come. And they put on display. Didn't matter about their age, lack of experience. At the end of the day, what everyone says, it's basketball. Put the ball on the floor and may the best man win. And, you know, they put that on display, and I'm very, very impressed. And, I mean, I don't know what's going on in San Antonio. All they do is just win.
Man.
They take a couple years off, and they get back winning.
Yeah, right to it, right?
Right to it. Man, God bless Pop and RC Buford. They do a good job down there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was Wemby's emotional, you know, outburst after the game, right? I mean, he's crying. This is a conference finals game that he just won, going on to the championship game, and he's crying. And in the post-game interview, he said that his life depends on it.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, if this kid is saying that his life depends on it, he's only, what, 22 years old. I mean, hey, good luck to the rest of the NBA, because this guy really cares about winning, and it seems like it just spreads around throughout the whole locker room with his leadership.
His emotional maturity at 22 years old is off the charts.
Absolutely.
I mean, brains don't fully develop till 25, but nobody told Wemby that. We said earlier this year, T, he's like, I don't want to carry the burden of having to hide my emotions. And to DC's point, we saw all those emotions on display after completing that series victory over the defending champions. So now for Wemby, I'm not sure. I believe it was Mike Tirico who said it. Somebody in the broadcast is Wemby's world now. Do you feel like that's the case? Regardless of what happens over the next week and change in this series against the Knicks, do you feel like the league belongs to Victor Wembanyama?
They found their guy. I think, you know, LeBron has been carrying the NBA for 20-plus years, and I think the NBA and everyone across the league has realized that this young man is next in line to carry the torch. And think about it, he single-handedly, let's take back to the season. He brought back the All-Star game. Let's not forget, he challenged everyone. Yep. He said, I'm coming to play, I'm taking this serious, and made guys like Bron, all the OGs, the older guys, take that game serious. So that shows you, like, the league's in good hands with this young man.
Absolutely. I mean, he's about the right things. He fell into the right organization with San Antonio. You know, you have guys like Tim Duncan, David Robinson, of course, Greg Popovich. They're surrounding him with great company. And so he's in a great situation. I think it's only time is going to tell for him to start winning these championships. But his maturity, his mentality is surrounded by great people.
So obviously you can't do this alone, though. It is a team sport. As great a star as Wemby is in the league, the cast around him, the young cast with him that they are building in San Antonio is something to behold. The average age of the Spurs is a tick above 25 years old. They're the youngest team since the '77 Blazers to reach the NBA Finals.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
I mean, you look at it, and it reminds me of the OKC Thunder team that played in Miami Heat, but these guys are better.
Yeah.
And they're bigger in size, and they have multiple, right? Like, it's not like, with OKC they had James, Russ, KD, but they got Castle, Vassell, Johnson, Harper, Champagnie. Listen, he's like the Danny Green 2.0 out there. I mean, he's knocking it down, and he's guarding. Like, he's like literally reincarnated Danny Green. And it's like these, like, shout out their staff for like recruiting, but having, you know what it is? More so, it's the right character, but guys that could actually hoop and have given everything to the team. And it starts with your leader. Yeah. He's all about it. You see the emotions he's showing. He's hugging everyone from the training staff to the water guy, the towel boy. Like, he's just so appreciative. And for someone that's not from North America, to have, like, be able to transition and just fall right into, like, this culture and blend in, it's very impressive. I mean, shout out his parents, man. They did a great job raising an amazing
Absolutely. Take us to the backcourt, too, because I think you have the reigning Rookie of the Year, right, in Steph Castle. D. Fox is their veteran. Well, they draft Dylan Harper to kind of learn beneath these guys and build up for a couple years. Well, again, ahead of schedule, just like the team, Dylan Harper.
Yeah, if you remember years ago, before Tony Parker got drafted, they did the same thing with TP, right? He didn't just come right away and started, right? He came off the bench a little bit, and then he kind of worked his way through. Same thing with Dylan Harper. I know a lot of people felt that he should have his own team and he should be the guy, but this is a great situation for Dylan Harper. I mean, for him to get championship experience, it's going to take your career a long way. Think of guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, who sniffed success early, and look how they approach the game. So this is really good for Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper.
Just like you brought up, Tristan, it seems like something in the Riverwalk down there in San Antonio where they got the blueprint. It's just like, all right, you find a head coach that you love, Pop, and now Mitch Johnson. You get a generational big man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Build around the backcourt, have some depth. I mean, and then just run your way through the finals.
Man, I don't know if it's the chips and queso or the Mama Margie down there. It's just something brewing because it's special, but I think their coaching staff and their culture, right? I think it's like culture's a big thing, and I think a lot of teams overlook it and they don't really understand what culture is, and it's like having the right guy, like having Harrison Barnes, who started last year for them, right? And taking a backseat role, going from playing 25 plus minutes a game to now, getting DMPs or getting, whatever minutes are there. Like, these are the kind of guys that they're bringing in, and a lot of teams, they say they want vets, but when it comes down to it, they go take the younger guys. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you're trying to be a championship level team, you got to have the right mixture.
And to your point, how many times do you see former players like San Antonio come back to the practice facility and give gems, right? It just seems like every time you watch like a practice of theirs, you see Manu Ginobili walking with a young guy like Dylan Harper. You see Tim Duncan in the practice, facility. I mean, you don't get that all the time from a lot of organizations.
Now, for Knicks fans watching, we're not ignoring you. We know that there's still an NBA Finals to be played. We are just addressing what happened.
We're just talking about the last game, guys.
Thunder fans, you too. We're going to talk about OKC and what's ahead this summer and beyond for the Thunder as well. But what's ahead for us this week in the NBA? Game 1 of the NBA Finals gets going on Wednesday, June 3rd. All games at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on ABC, New York, San Antonio. It's a rematch of the NBA Cup.
I love it.
First time we've seen that in the Cup's existence. So obviously not the first time that the Spurs and Knicks will be playing this year. In fact, they met 3 times throughout this 2025-2026 campaign. In case you forgot, we got some highlights for you just to jog the memory a little bit. So that first game, December 16th in Vegas, neutral site. The Knicks win 124-113, their first ever NBA Cup championship. OG Anunoby with a game-high 28, and the NBA Cup MVP Jalen Brunson had 25 with 8 assists in the win. Josh Hart had a memorable post-game presence on the stadium, on the what's the word? Podium. That's what I'm looking for at the end as well. Later that month, New Year's Eve, the Spurs outlast the Knicks 134-132. Julian Champagnie, what a night he had. 36 points, a career best, and a franchise record 11-3.
I do remember that, yep.
Flamethrower.
And then March 1st, the Knicks taking on the Spurs, who'd won 11 in a row entering that night in the Garden. New York ended that win streak, 114-89 blowout fashion. Mikal Bridges with 25, Brunson had 24. And the Spurs, they did not lose a game all February. The Knicks made them 0-1 in the month of March. A 26-2 first half run to surge ahead, and they never looked back. So this was the season series between these two. They each won the game at home, and the Knicks obviously won the neutral site contest there in Las Vegas. So now they'll play a best-of-7 series. The Spurs with home court advantage. San Antonio looking for championship number 6, and the Knicks looking to end the drought at 53 years.
Then they passed Cleveland. We were 52 when we won, so yeah. Pressure on the Knicks.
Okay, all right, so we still have, there's still time. I'm not going to hold you down for a series prediction here and now. We still have Media Day on Tuesday, which will have wall-to-wall coverage here on NBA TV, and then into Wednesday, Game 1, getting you ready for the game. But initial thoughts about these two teams as they match up for the championship.
Well, I think, look at the highlights. I think both teams have got better. I think both teams, if you look at the Cup game, Landry Shamet didn't play. Now he's in the rotation, big part of it, right? And I think in the earlier games, Dylan Harper wasn't who he is now, right? So I feel like everyone's got better throughout the course of the season. So it's almost like looking at that film, and if I'm Mike Brown or I'm Miss Johnson, I'm like,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The film, scrap the film.
Yeah.
These are totally two different ball clubs, and this is gonna be fun.
Well, and to your point, you look at the Spurs, right? They felt that they were one of the best teams, but it's one thing to say and actually do it, right? When you beat the likes of OKC, the defending champions, your confidence is going through the roof, right? And then for the Knicks, they're playing at a high level too. Their last two series, they dominated, right? And so they, like you said, they're two different teams now from they were, about a couple months ago, but they're definitely playing at a high level in the playoffs.
So the Spurs 2 seed in the West, the Knicks a 3 seed in the East. But what we have seen from New York throughout this postseason, an historically dominant stretch.
Yeah.
They've won 11 straight games. You remember, they were down 2-1 to Atlanta.
Yeah.
A little bit more than a month
And everybody
ago.
was freaking out then, right?
Correct.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought about it, I was like, oh, is the bird like, the bird like do something?
From that point forward, 11 wins in a row by an average margin of victory of 23.8 points. They're smoking teams. The point differential in this stretch, plus 262, the largest in an 11-game span in NBA history, postseason and regular season. So we just have not seen this level of dominance. So I guess your confidence level in New York, knowing now that they've been off for what will be 8 games by the time they tip on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean...
Or 8 days, I beg your pardon.
I mean, one thing about Mike Brown, I play for Mike Brown, and they're going to do conditioning. But like you said, nothing compares to the actual game. I guess you can expect them to maybe be a little rusty, but I think, after the first timeout, TV timeout, those guys will be ready to go. But I think, the fact that Mike is using their bench more in the playoffs and staggering, what was the big thing was OG and Mikal, right? They were getting each other's way, and they figured out how to make sure they could start together, but keep them apart where they can both be in rhythm. Because when you see, especially against Cleveland, OG had big games, Mikal had big games because they put one of them in the second unit. So Mike's figuring it out.
I think their starting 5 plays more minutes than a lot of the starting 5 in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody in that group is complaining about rest. I mean, this is a group that probably needed the rest the most, right? Jalen Brunson does a lot for this team offensively. But look, trust me, they're fine coming off the break. I mean, they're going up against a young team in San Antonio who has all the fresh and young legs. Yeah. So they're going to need every bit of rest that they can have in this series.
For folks who have not maybe watched a lot of Knicks basketball throughout this year, or particularly in this recent postseason stretch, is there anything different about this group, DC, compared to last year's run to the Eastern Conference Final?
Well, I've always said that the difference between last year and this year was that it's not a lot of Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns pick and rolls, right? You're going to see it at some point throughout the game, but it's more of giving Karl-Anthony Towns at the high post or the elbow and letting everybody cut, back screen, get guys like OG Anunoby open, Josh Hart open, getting easy buckets. Like right there, I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns has been more of a playmaker for this team, and what that's done is alleviated a lot of pressure off of Jalen Brunson's plate because he's not doing everything. So now when the fourth quarter comes, Steven, like Jalen Brunson has all the energy in the world to be who he is. But last year, I just felt like Jalen Brunson did a lot. They were picking him up full, and he had the ball in his hands a lot, and it put a lot of pressure on him, and it took a lot of energy out of him.
Looking at the bottom of the screen there, T, Cat's numbers in this postseason, 6 assists per game.
I think we've never seen Cat have 6 assists. Usually when Cat catches the ball, he either shoots it or takes
going
it.
Up.
It's going up. So the fact that they're playing through him, and like I always want to compare it, it's like the Denver Nuggets when they won that year. They played through Jokic, they played through the big fella, and I think Coach Mike Brown, their staff realized, Cat can unlock a lot.
Exactly.
Especially this series.
Yeah.
This series, the fact that Cat can space it out and shoot threes at a high clip like a guard is going to force Wemby to have to apply the ball pressure, which is good for their cutters because they have great guys that can move out the ball with OG and Mikal and Josh Hart. This is going to open up the floor, which makes this series very interesting.
Yeah.
For comparison's sake, in the regular season, Towns was averaging about 3 assists per game, so he's doubled that rate here in the postseason. So something to monitor in this series as well. Obviously, A huge component, the biggest component in multitude of ways, is Victor Wembanyama and how he is going to be matched up against if you're in New York. The 3 meetings that they had during the regular season, including the NBA Cup Finals, they had 3 different guys clock in as the primary defender on Wemby. The first game it was Mitchell Robinson, the second game it was OG Anunoby, and the third game it was Karl Anthony Towns. So obviously Mike Brown and his staff, they've been in the war room over the last week prepping for this matchup. How would you guys attack Wemby schematically?
I'll go first. I mean, look, to me, it's all about if you can have as much shooters on the court to keep them outside the perimeter. I thought with OKC, he was guarding Lou Dort, and Lou Dort didn't have the best shooting series, so he was able to roam, stay inside the paint, and anytime SGA went to the paint, he was right there to help, right? The difference is if Josh Hart is able to hit threes, and we've seen him capable of hitting about a few threes, and that's going to keep Wemby honest. So to me, it's about having as much shooters out there on the floor to keep Wemby outside the paint, and therefore Jalen Brunson can get into the paint, Karl Towns can get into the paint and be successful.
Yeah, and even early transition, right? Early drag screen, right? One thing about Wemby, if he's going to be running back on defense, most bigs are taught to run to the paint. So if he's doing that, that's a great opportunity for Towns to get an early drag action, pick and pop, show the birdie. If he comes out, steps up, get to the rim. If not, eyeball sandwich. So, expect a lot of, random action and more, second side action, pick and roll, second side action, split action, because you want to keep, like you said, Wemby does a good job roaming in the paint, playing like a free safety, and because Lou Dort was out there, so they got to figure out ways to get him on the second side, get them puppies moving. Okay,
I got you. So for a Knicks team that has hardly been pushed in the last 11 games, all these blowout wins in 11-game winning streak, where do you feel like they could be tested the most, DC?
Their depth. Okay. Everybody can agree that with the Knicks, their first unit is probably one of the best units in the NBA. But then it starts to trickle down a little bit. I know they got Jordan Clarkson, who's been pretty good. Deuce McBride has been really great, too, as well. And Mitch Robinson off the bench. But they're not going to see a bunch of guys that's coming off the bench for San Antonio as they did, in the last series. You got Dylan Harper coming off the bench. You got guys like that who are going to get downhill and cause a lot of havoc. I mean, this is a
Johnson,
Keldon Johnson, 6 man a year. We're not even talking about as much as him. I mean, this is a team that's going to be facing a team that has a lot of youth coming at you in transition, like you mentioned, Tristan. So the depth is going to be the one where it's going to hurt them.
Okay, so now the other side of this coin, you guys hit on the rest versus rust aspect for the Knicks. Feel like that's not going to be a thing. That starting 5, which has been worked a lot, could use the rest. They have experience. The Spurs do not on this stage, but they just beat the defending champions. So experience, lack of experience, how much do you care about that for San Antonio, if at all?
At this point, it doesn't matter. I don't know what, I'm telling you guys, it's something in this San Antonio air where whatever fairy dust they put on those boys, experience doesn't matter. It's basketball, mano a mano, like they're at Rucker Park, 5-on-5, throw the ball out there. So I don't think it's going to be an issue at all.
And I don't think Wemby cares about experience. He wants to win now. That's the difference. Most young players, as you know, Tristan, their first 3 years, they're just happy to be part of the postseason. They're just happy to make it to the finals. This guy has said, my life depends on it. So he wants to win. So it trumps all experience. They're here to play, and they're here to win now.
I know that they are, again, ahead of schedule, but you never really know. You want to say, okay, they have this window. Windows open and close faster than we can fully comprehend. So with that in mind, which of these teams do you feel has more pressure on them in this finals? Like, I know that the reflex is to say the Knicks because they're older and the Spurs are younger. But the West is a gauntlet. It's and it's not going to get any easier for San Antonio. Yes, they're going to get older, they're going to get bigger, they're going to get stronger, all those things. But you can't account for something like injuries. The Thunder just saw that with J-Dub and A.J. Mitchell, 2 of their most important players got hurt at the most important time, and now they're home. So I guess who has more pressure in your eyes, the Knicks or the Spurs?
I would say the Knicks, because the reality of the East is going to be better next year. Jason Tatum a full year. Tyrese Halliburton, he's coming back. They've added Zubac. So, I think the pressure's on the Knicks. They're more experienced. They hired Mike Brown, and they said, Mike Brown, it's very simple. You need to win. Now. It's no waiting. We fired Tibbs for you to win. So I think the pressure's on them.
I agree with Tristan, but I'm going to go a different route just a little bit. In terms of greatness, I think Wemby has the most pressure, right? You think of all the great players in this league, and for him to get to the finals at 22 years of age, I mean, we're hearing a lot of names like, compared to, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron.
Shaq, all
I mean,
those guys, yeah.
like you said, the time is now. You never know what will happen, right? Bearing none, hopefully there's no injuries. You may not never get back. And that's just how the NBA works. So if he can get a chance to get a championship right now and add to that, at this age, this would be phenomenal.
Love the discussion, and we still have so much more show to go and a lot more to get into. We got Cash or Trash coming up. DC has got a breakdown for you looking at the NBA Cup Championship and how things might change.
Yeah.
Point guard guru right here, guys.
That's coming up. Game 1 on Wednesday night. TT, DC, Nelly here on the association, and the reason why that parity will continue is because the Thunder have been knocked out, eliminated in 7 games by the San Antonio Spurs, and that has kicked off a ton of conversation around the Thunder because it's a massive, massive summer ahead for them and a lot of decisions that have to be made. Just to paint a picture for everybody, just starting with the pure contract situations. They're going to fly by the second apron when the new league year kicks in. Chet Holmgren, J-Dub, their max extensions hop into frame. They have team options on iHeart, Lou Dort, and Kenrich Williams. They do have a ton of draft picks, including a lottery pick, 12th overall this year, and just outside the lottery, number 17 in this 2026 draft. And that's to say nothing of the next 4 years. They have more than 10 picks the next 5 drafts, including 2026. So Sam Presti, who is, I think, unanimously regarded as the best in the business right now, has a lot to do, but a lot at his disposal as well. So if you guys are part of the Thunder Brain Trust,
Coming for your job, Sam. Here we come.
First of all, what's the post-mortem from what just happened in the Western Conference Finals against San Antonio? What do you take away from that if you're OKC?
Well, you need size, obviously, for Wemby, right? And they got to figure out how they can really get Chet involved into the offense more. And that's not to say that they didn't try or not, but they got to figure that part out because I'm still a big believer in Chet. I think you still need to, go on with him in the future. Hartenstein is a guy that's on a team option, but you need to figure out a way to keep him too because I thought he did a great job defensively on Wemby in some moments. The guy that I'm not so sure about, who I love too, is Lou Dort. Obviously, they can't keep both of them. They can't keep Hartenstein and Lou Dort, so they got to figure out a way to move some money around. And, just in case they do let Lou Dort go, just to keep a Hartenstein. But then Casey Wallace, too, is a guy that can step into a Lou Dort situation, too, as well as Jared McCain. So that's where I would go to.
T.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you got to bring back Hartenstein. You need size. I think what I would do if I was Sam Presti, I'd say, listen, Chet, things happen. You didn't have the best series, but I think this summer, Chet's got to go in his kind of Brook Lopez mode where, you got to learn how to shoot threes and make threes at a high level because that's the only way we can pull Wemby away from the rim to make it easier for Shea and J-Dub.
Okay, but that's the thing. That was one of his strengths, you would think, was to be able to shoot the three. And we didn't see it hardly at all in the series. 7 games that Holmgren played, he attempted 11 threes. And he hit just 27% of them. Kenrich Williams attempted more threes in 5 games than Chet did in 7. I think the way Game 7 went down especially, it was rattling to watch. And you just didn't expect that from a guy in Chet Holmgren who this year, DC, was an all-star at 24, 3rd-team All-NBA, 2nd-team All-Defense, and first-team All-Defense and runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. That was a shock to witness.
Yeah, no, it was, right? But, look, everybody that's played at this level can tell you that you always have a year where you're just not mentally in it, for whatever reason, right? It could be the system, it could be the guys you're playing with, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but let's see what he does coming back after the offseason. You just never know. He's still young. He can figure it out mentally in the offseason, get back stronger, and to your point, understand that he will take accountability and be like, look, I got to be better for us to win. So you just never know.
Yeah. A name that we've already heard connected to OKC and will continue to hear connected to Oklahoma City is Giannis. And any of those deals for difference makers, now people are kind of looping Chet in because of how this series went against Wemby. How would you approach that? if you're Sam Presti? The potential for Giannis versus what you have built in OKC, really with Chet?
It's going to be a conversation. I think Sam's got to have a conversation with ownership and maybe have a conversation with Shea, your best player, and say, we have to, we would be doing you a disservice, Shea, if we don't hear this conversation and see what it can look like, because at the end of the day, as long as Wemby's healthy, we need a guy that is fearless, that can go at him. And the one name that keeps coming to mind is the Greek Freak, right? He, especially putting him at center, and if you have big J-Dub out there and then having little J-Dub healthy, that's floor is space. And imagine a pick and roll with Shea and the Greek Freak in a pick and roll with Wemby and Castle or Fox. Like that's a very good 1-2 punch that gives yourself a shot. But like you said, the one thing that's tough is that giving up on a young player, 7 foot like Chet, that could do so much, that's only going to get better. That's the. Do you want to win now, or you want to protect your future?
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing, guys. Right? It's like, okay, well, you need somebody to counter Wemby. Well, Chet seems
the one,
like,
right?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
And I do think it's important, DC, to your point, to give him grace in that he is just 24. You know the talent. You wouldn't have taken him with the 2nd overall pick, and you wouldn't have had all these accolades if he wasn't that good. He just had a really tough series, and it did look like it started to get to him mentally, but that doesn't mean it can stay that way. I think it goes one of two ways. Either it stays with him and buries him, or it makes him better, and that's the hope for Oklahoma City. Now, to your guys' conversation about Shea being involved in this, he said after Game 7, he's like, oh, I'm not going to give him any input. Sam Presti's the greatest of all time.
No, you got to give input.
He did say, we need Chet, and the exact quote is, before Chet was here, we weren't who we are today. We wouldn't have the success we have today. When he's the best version of himself, we're the best version of ourselves. So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, that's MVP, that's leader there.
Yeah, I mean, what are teams trying to get nowadays? Stretch 5s. Right? And Chet fits that mold. And when Chet's playing at a high level, they're very unstoppable to beat, especially when you got SGA, you got Jalen Williams, A.J. Mitchell getting into the paint. It's all because of the likes of Chet being able to shoot outside the perimeter. He just wasn't aggressive. The other thing you got to think and take into account for is Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell didn't play. So that left a lot of pressure on Chet. So if those guys play and they win, we wouldn't be having this conversation, maybe, right?
I do think, like, if you're asking a TV clown, for my opinion, nobody is, and nobody should. but you shouldn't blow it up. You went 7 games without 2 of your most, not role players, not glue guys, important players, period, in J-Dub and A.J. Mitchell. Now, part of the Thunder's strength through all year and through the postseason we were talking about was the bench. It dominated the Spurs bench. It didn't ultimately matter. And a part of that bench was Cason Wallace, a name you brought up earlier as being a pivotal piece for the Thunder moving forward. Cason Wallace raised some eyebrows when he met with the media. Let's listen in what he had to say about his future.
The drama.
But, I'm more focused on, getting better this summer and being able to go back out there and compete next season.
Again, that's a snippet of Wallace's media availability. I love the Thunder. I'm not money-driven. I want to compete, but I'm focused on getting better. And wait, what exactly do you mean by that? But if you're a member of the Thunder, a young player who has been a role player, a depth piece, a bench piece, it would be human nature to think to yourself, well, what can I become if I wasn't just that here? I think, so I know that this is going to be a quote-unquote controversial quote from Cason Wallace, but I think it's a totally understandable one.
No, totally. I mean, I remember going through this when I was waiting for an extension, right? It's the game, right? You got to, who cares less always gets what they want, right? So I don't know if his team was telling him to keep it very vague or if that's just how he truly feels, but at the end of the day, we know that he's a big part of what they're trying to do. And there's not another Cason Wallace coming through that door. Obviously, they have Lou Dort, but this kid is younger and probably offensively from three-point line a better shooter. So
second team all defense?
Yeah, second team all defense. So this is a no-brainer. He'll be back. They'll make sure they make it work. But he's keeping it. He's playing poker. He's smart. I do the same thing. I did to the Cavs all the way to the last game before the season started. Got my chicken.
Right. And look, this is what happens when you lose, right? Yeah. The narrative starts to float around and people start to nitpick every bit of quote. I think Casey Wallace is sincere about what he meant, right? He wants to get better. I don't think it's a guy that cares about money. This is a guy that's been in and out the starting lineup, coming off the bench and having an impact. But, you know, this is a good problem for the Thunder.
Yeah.
You know, when you have young players that are trying to figure their way out and they can be a starter on any team,
hungry.
This is a great problem.
Yeah, and ultimately, you have SGA and you have Sam Presti, Thunder fans. In Presti, we trust. Whatever you want to do with those million picks. And all the
You're going to start selling them for some cash, man. Sell them for some cash consideration.
Now might be the time to push some of the chips. We will see, but hey, whatever Sam Presti decides to do.
Took enough bad contracts to get some picks.
We don't want no problem, Sam.
No. None of that. None of that. What we do want is to take a break here and then gather ourselves. Cash or Trash is coming up next. DC's Cash or Trash debut.
Yeah.
We're going to test the jumper next.
Let go.
Welcome back inside the association studio. It's time for Cash or Trash. We present a take to our esteemed analysts here. If they agree with it, they like it, they keep it and put it in the piggy bank. It's money. If they don't like it, trash it up and shoot it in the mini hoop. First time DC's had to play this segment.
I love it.
Pressure's on.
T, you're an established veteran. So first things first, as we get ready for the NBA Finals, let's start with Jalen Brunson, because he's been on an absolute tear in the postseason. He's scored 27 points per game during the Knicks' run to the Finals. Now, he's going up a formidable half-court defense, along with the Defensive Player of the Year, of course, when he gets into the key with Wemby. So I ask you, Darren Collison, Jalen Brunson will not lead the Finals in points per game. Cash.
You know what? I don't know, man. I'm going to say trash. He will lead in scoring. Big-bodied Brunson. He's very crafty. Shooting at 50% from the field. That's very hard to do, but it's not hard for Jalen Brunson. So this is going in trash.
Here you go.
I'm going to give him a little shot, a little shimmy.
Come on, DC. 1 for 1 out the game. And by the way, he hit his first shot in the commercial break.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what shooters do. That's the love I need right there.
That's a
good teammate right there.
We love
First
that.
one, wow.
All right, now it's your turn, T.
Oh, Lord.
All right, the Spurs run into the Finals fresh off a 7-game slugfest against their rival Thunder, while the Knicks have managed back-to-back sweeps, and they ride an 11-game win streak. They'll have 8 days off between games. I wonder, will we see an epic one or a short series? Cash or trash, Tristan Thompson? This Finals will go 7 games.
Ooh, this is great for business of basketball.
That's a fact.
This is great for history. So I'm going to cash it.
Smart man.
There you go. 7-game series.
Honestly, like jokes. Putting aside the fact that I think you just don't want to shoot after DC.
That too. That's part of it. Yeah, of course, obviously.
I do think, like to your point, it would be great for the league to see the New York Knicks trying to end a 53-year drought. Victor Wembanyama, at 22 years old, try to ascend to the next face of the league.
I just hope San Antonio doesn't cut off the AC like they did for the Miami Heat. They said the AC wasn't working. That's a conspiracy.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, guys. Allegedly.
Just protect.
Wow. Put that out there. Huh?
Just saying, guys. I was there. I was at the game.
DC now. San Antonio shot 34% from 3 in the conference finals against OKC, while the Knicks shot 38% from behind the arc against the Cavs. We saw what someone like Landry Shamet can do when he gets hot from deep and how that could determine a series. Cash or trash, DC? 3-point shooting is the most important factor in this series.
You know what? I'm going to say this is cash only because 3-point shooting is going to be the most important factor. You got Wemby playing defense the way he's playing. You're going to need a bunch of shooters out there to keep him honest.
You've been consistent with that.
But San Antonio, we've seen what they did in the last 5 minutes, hitting 3 after 3 with Dylan Harper, Castle. I mean, Fox had a big 3. You know what I mean? Their 6-man, Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson corner
had a big
3 and the wing.
Exactly. So 3-point shooting is always going to be an important factor in the NBA as a skill, but in particular in the finals, I'm going to cash this.
All right, cash money.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Back to you, T. The current record holder for blocks in an NBA Finals, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan. He had 32 blocks in 2003 against the Nets. So I think you might understand where we're going with this next one.
Yeah, come on, T.
Yeah.
You talk about the parallels between 99 and 2026, the Spurs past core and their current core. Cash or trash, Wemby will break Tim Duncan's finals record for total blocks.
Wow.
I can't wait
It's a
to hear
tough one.
this.
I mean,
Hey, and
Wemby's very good.
Tim might be watching. Tim Duncan
But
might
you
be
know what?
watching.
Big fundamental. You let me come work out with you in the summertime. Took me under your wing. I got respect for the OGs. So
The slow burn. All right, let's see stretch 5, T. Stretch 5.
Stretch 5.
Knock it down, T.
Oh,
he got the trash. No, he didn't.
I got a trash can. I got a trash
Count
can,
it,
though.
count it.
Count it. Got a trash can. Got a trash can. You didn't say which nets. You didn't say which nets. You didn't say.
I see the
You didn't know which net. Come on now.
Is it a half point or we give him a full point?
We got half point.
I'll take a half point.
on,
Yeah,
man.
0.5.
Yeah, you
0.5.
take it.
How hard that is to do?
0.5.
Good teammates here.
Yeah, see? See?
We got one more left. All right. Okay, an interesting wrinkle heading into this finals matchup is the bench. Now, the Knicks and Spurs bench was separated by just 1 point per game. 0.1 points per game.
0.1 or
Let me
1
say
point?
that again. The two benches for New York and San Antonio were separated by 0.1 points per game in their respective matchups. We did see San Antonio overcome all the bench scoring for the Thunder, but that's in the past. The present is this take, cash or trash. The Knicks bench will outscore the Spurs bench in the series.
Whew.
Wow.
Look, I understand about the Knicks bench. They've been playing a lot better throughout the playoffs. But Dylan Harper is going to be the key to this series because of how well he's going to play off the bench, along with my guy Keldon Johnson, 6th man of the year. And don't forget about Harrison Barnes. I think he's going to have a big impact as well. This is going to be trash.
All right,
Let go.
Oh, man, here we go.
Go 2 for 2.
Can I go 2 for 2?
If you go 2 for 2, you're goated.
Man, let's go 2 for 2.
Wow. 2 for 2. Guys,
man, that's
put
what
the
we
record
do.
books. Hang the
Shoot.
jersey up.
We
Hang it
don't
up.
shoot.
Hang it up.
One more time before we go to break. We got to take another look. All the time, and it's
It's still there.
It's still there.
America is still there. I love the support, though.
the latest epic moment in cash or trash
You
history.
guys gotta get this.
It hangs. Oh my God.
I got the best teammates in the world, America.
Yes. Team first. Team first. Come on now. At that moment, we knew the series was over.
That one? Yeah.
That was like
question on
icing
this
the
one.
cake. That was a stamp.
So as now the Knicks get ready for the NBA Finals, trying to win a title for the first time in 53 years, taking on the San Antonio Spurs, a team that they played 3 times throughout the season, and they beat twice, including the NBA Cup championship. And so now the Knicks have a chance to do something we have never seen before, complete the double in the NBA, win the NBA Cup and the NBA Finals. DC, I want you to take us into the film room and into that matchup. Knicks and Spurs in Vegas, the cup on the line. What jumped out to you as you watched that game back? I'm going to give you this spot. You take the lead.
Hold down.
Well, one of the things that jumped out to me, too, was the ball movement and body movement. We could just pause real quick before we go. You know, I mentioned a lot of the attention was always on Jalen Brunson in the offense. And sometimes when your usage rate is high and you know that every team wants to focus on you, the best spot to be is in the corner and allow others to make plays for you. And then in the last 5 to 7 seconds of the shot clock, then you give it back to Brunson, he can go to work. So we play it real quick. Right here, you're going to go for a pick and roll. This may be nothing, but it's something, right? It just keeps Wemby going. We already seen Josh Hart cut. We got a screen for Jalen Brunson. Now Jalen Brunson can operate in this space, but the thing they're doing differently, they're cutting, they're moving, and this is what's caused a wide open Jalen Brunson for a wide open three, right? It's ball movement and body movement. This may seem like a bluff. This is a good ball movement. Clarkson doesn't have it. Swings it to Mikal Bridges. Josh Hart cutting for Brunson to come over to the top, and now Brunson can play into his spaces, create, all because there's a lot of ball movement, body movement to get open to his open shot. Another action. This is what we're seeing a lot from Karl Towns. We pause it. Pause it right here. Karl-Anthony Towns getting the ball and giving it to OG Anunoby for ISO. That alleviates a lot of pressure for not only Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, but it makes him work. But this is what we like to see, the cut, you know, right here. The cut by Mikal Bridges to go to the corner. The cut going here by Josh Hart. Now it's wide open basketball, ISO basketball by OG Anunoby. We can play it. And now he's able to get to his spot. We keep Keldon Johnson, you know, occupied with Karl-Anthony Towns' ability to shoot outside the perimeter. And again, this may seem so small. We pause it right here. Last year, I felt like Brunson would have stayed in this area, right? And it would have caused Karl-Anthony Towns a lot harder shot to get into the ISO. This year, Brunson is cutting, right? Now we could play it. And it gives Karl-Anthony Towns a lot more room to go into his ISO shot off the one leg, nice fadeaway shot.
Dirk?
And go from there. But the difference between last year and this year is the ball movement, body movement, the continuity that they have, and it takes a lot of pressure off of Jalen Brunson, and this is why they're scoring at a high rate.
So all the body movement, all the traffic it created, it looked like watching that, some chaos for San Antonio. A lot of this, like, wait a second, even Wemby, like when he went to close out on Brunson, he's like, wait, I just lost Mitchell Robinson, let me turn back around. How do you counter chaos?
Because that's the one area of San Antonio that the Knicks could take advantage, right? If you move bodies and cut, remember, Wemby always wants to stay in the paint, and that's why Brunson was able to get open, because the miscommunications, right? So that's something that they got to take advantage of, and I'm glad Coach DC pointed out there.
And to add to that point, it's easier when you see Jalen Brunson coming down on the ISO and pick and roll early in the shot clock, right? Now Wemby is able to see where he's at. But to your point, Tristan, to what we were trying to say, if you do a lot more movement and body movement, now Wemby's all over the place, and then maybe Jalen Brunson gets a wide open three, as you see in that previous clip.
I got you. One thing I'm curious about, if you guys can kind of take us inside once again, is how NBA teams and players analyze film. Because you know that all the Knicks are pouring through those same plays, and San Antonio's doing the same thing to try and dissect. You're also not showing all your hand in every single meeting, right? Especially against conference opponents, right? Just in case you meet again in the postseason. So how would you guys be pouring through that if you're members of the Spurs, let's say? Because you told us what the Knicks did well and how they've evolved. But if you're the Spurs watching that, how do you guys talk amongst yourselves as you're watching?
I mean, if I'm with the Spurs, I'm going to tell Wemby, pressure Cat, right? We notice that they're running a lot of offense to him. Pressure him, make him turn his back, make him go from looking to facilitate to putting his head down and just trying to get to the rim, right? One thing about Cat, whenever he drives, he's going right. He's not spinning back left. He's a hard right-handed driver. So take away the passing lanes and apply that ball pressure, so then it's going to force him to be frustrated, which is going to make them go back to what they usually do. Pound, 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 pick and roll with Brunson, right? Force them out of their stuff, right? Don't let them roam free. Get tags, get touches, right? Make them feel you so they can't roam around free. Because one thing as us players, if every time I go in the paint I'm getting hit, I'm gonna stop cutting.
Exactly.
And that works in the Spurs' favor.
And if I'm Mitch Johnson, I will put Wemby on Josh Hart. I'll put the onus on Josh Hart to make threes. Like I said, it's not that he can't shoot.
Right.
We've seen him make threes, but what it does is that it's gonna keep Wemby honest by around the paint area. If Josh Hart wants to cut, he's going to cut right into Wemby. Wemby's able to see Jalen Brunson wherever he's on the floor. I think this series is going to go down to how much Wemby shows Jalen Brunson attention and keep Jalen Brunson outside the paint, because this is going to make it very difficult for him.
Love that. Awesome look. DC Studios, unofficial title.
There you have it.
There you go.
That's
Lego.
Great look back at the NBA Cup as we look forward to the NBA Finals, which starts Wednesday night down in San Antonio.
Go, Gadget. His head and came back down.
Just 21 years old, Steph Castle, Rookie of the Year, and now potentially could be an NBA champion after the Spurs can get 4 more wins. What has been the most kind of all-striking thing from the Spurs development and the rapid ascent for this team? Because again, you knew it was simmering in San Antonio, and you had the big piece in Wemby. All right, you got a couple things behind them, but to shoot from where they were last year to now in the NBA Finals is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, we've never seen that before. Going from a non-playoff team to just NBA Finals. Like, we were all probably sitting here at the beginning of the season saying, you know, Spurs can get to the second round. It'll be a great season for them.
Exactly.
But they've exceeded expectations and their maturity level. And, I mean, they really trust the process. You know, last year, Wemby only played, 21 minutes, something a little bit more than that, 25 minutes, and rested him until, but I think the beauty of that was that it gave the other guys opportunity to get better, development, right? Keldon Johnson, Castle, Vassell, their game got better last year, and you see it on display now. In these moments, they're ready for the moment to step up, so pretty cool.
DC, let me ask you this. In your experience, what is the thing that enables a young player to kind of reach their potential and achieve it at the highest level and the biggest stage like we're seeing from a lot of the Spurs?
Sometimes it's just not getting caught up into the moment, right? Where you see a lot of veteran players, they've been through the lows and the highs and the wins and the losses and stuff. But for young players, they haven't been through anything. And sometimes that can pay into their favor, right? And so you look at guys like Castle and Wemby, you could just tell they're just out there just trying to play. And the one thing about Castle is a lot of people don't give him credit. He did a solid job on SGA. I know Wemby was behind him and he was protecting the paint as well, but Castle took on that challenge, and he did a great job for somebody in his third year to take on that challenge against the MVP. You know, SGA,
MVP, right?
two-time MVP. He's not an easy cover, right? But he took on the challenge, and it's just like you said, Tristan, it's their maturity level that strikes out to me, and their ability to say, hey, look, we're not finished. We still have more to come.
And another thing, too, with Castle is that we heard and saw in the postseason and into the series, like, oh, hey, the turnovers are a problem. You know, he's 21 years old. Can he handle this going up against, you know, the two-time MVP and Shea and the reigning champions in the Thunder? And for him to sort of weather that storm, and like you said, like, he did a good job. Nobody was a turnstile against SGA. All you can really do is try and limit him and slow him down a little bit. But he's definitely one of those special guys who's always going to get his. But I thought that was impressive for Castle. Was like there was a lot of heat on him, especially when Fox and Harper got hurt. It was like, hey, now you're the primary guy who's turning the ball over. What are you going to do? And he held his own.
Well, this is why it's always good to have a sprinkle of a little veteranship or veteran leadership, right? And you got Fox being that, right? Because Castle, he had about 7-8 turnovers prior to when Fox came back into the lineup. Then it just seemed like when Fox came back into the lineup, everything kind of settled down a little bit. Castle was more into his role, and he didn't have to do too much. But you need that veteran leadership every now and then. You need the Harrison Barnes. You need the Luke Cornett, right? Yeah. As you like to call Big Vanilla. But
Big Vanilla.
You need that. It can't just all be about youth. And this is why veterans are such a key piece to a team and to a team's success, especially trying to win a championship.
I feel like whoever's been on this couch, it's something I've like when we're talking about a team, a question, who their vets. We pull up the roster because you guys, like, that is important to you players. Like, we could talk about all the talented young pieces on any different roster that is out there right now, and they're going to grow together. Well, what helps them grow is like having somebody.
A strong foundation.
Exactly.
A strong foundation,
before.
man. It's so it's a huge key to the success, and they don't get a lot of credit, but like even Bismack Biyombo, like the relationship that him and Wemby have, right?
Yep.
When Wemby's frustrated, he goes over to Bismack and they talk and they have their conversation. Like those roles are so important when you're trying to win, and they get overlooked, right? Because you know the thing is about the NBA, all these GMs, they're always trying to find the next hidden gem. But it's like if you're about winning, be about winning, and you need those guys that have been in the fray, that have take their blows, have won at the highest level, may have lost at the highest level because they can give that free game and free knowledge.
I mean, look at OKC. Look at their vets, right? You have Caruso, Hartenstein. Like, you need vets to mix with your young guys. And I thought San Antonio did a great job of that this offseason and getting those vets on the team.
Last question I'll hit you with really quickly is that they also have a young coach, right, in Mitch Johnson. So how do players kind of view that angle of it?
I'm telling you, that's such an important thing that a lot of people look over, is that the way players are now compared to when me and DC were playing are completely different. I think just the way everyone's brought up, the way the mindset is, these young guys, they want to be able to really gravitate towards their coach, where it's not like I am coach and I'm boss and you're employee. It's more like we are connected. We're connective tissue.
That's a great point.
And a lot of these younger, that's why if you've seen the league, the younger coaches, the coaches that maybe were former players, right? The E-Mays, Joe Mazzulla is much younger, right? Like the T. Lue, even Mitch Johnson, right? All these guys come from so much of a playing. They all come from a basketball being with the players, whether they're a grad assistant, whatever they may be. They understand the language of the young guys. Because one thing about the young guys, if you're full of it, they're gonna write you off.
they're gonna
write you off. And that's why
They'll
these
tune you out.
Yeah.
I got you. I thought that was an interesting aspect of it too. But so much.